Today, we're going deep, really deep, into the mysteries surrounding Mount Kailash.
Sounds exciting.
It is. I mean, we've all seen pictures, right? This towering peak in the Tibetan plateau, but there's so much more to it.
Oh, absolutely. Mount Kailash is way more than just a mountain. It's like a spiritual magnet, drawing in folks from all these different religions and cultures.
It's incredible, right? Like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, even the Bon religion, all consider it sacred. What is it about Mount Kailash that makes it so universally revered?
Well, each of those religions has its own unique set of beliefs, but they all share this common thread. The idea that visiting Mount Kailash brings you closer to, well, something bigger, like enlightenment or liberation.
So different paths, same ultimate goal.
You got it. Like in Hinduism, Mount Kailash is the home of Lord Shiva, the destroyer and creator deity.
Yeah.
Hindus believe he performs this cosmic dance of creation and destruction up there. It's a place of immense power.
Wow. And for Buddhists?
For Buddhists, it's the home of Buddha Demchok, who represents supreme bliss.
So whether you're seeking enlightenment through meditation or connecting with powerful deities, Mount Kailash seems to have something for everyone.
Right. And don't forget Jainism, one of the world's oldest religions,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Well, they believe that their first Tirthankara, Rishabhadeva, achieved liberation on Mount Kailash after years of intense meditation. Even the Bon religion, which predates Buddhism in Tibet, considers Mount Kailash sacred. It's the home of Shenla Okar, one of their most important deities.
It's mind-blowing how every belief system seems to have woven Mount Kailash into its spiritual fabric.
It really is. And that's where this idea of axis mundi comes in. You familiar with that?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
It's this concept that certain places act as a central point connecting heaven and earth, a kind of cosmic axis.
Oh, right. Like a bridge between worlds.
Exactly. And for these four religions, Mount Kailash is that very axis. It's considered the center of the world.
That makes the practice of Kora even more significant, right? That ritual circumambulation of the mountain.
You know it. It's not just a physical act. It's a pilgrimage, a way to cleanse the soul and move closer to enlightenment.
It's a powerful image. All those people walking that same path for centuries, seeking something greater than themselves.
It's amazing. But you know what's really intriguing? No one's ever successfully climbed to the peak of Mount Kailash.
Really? I mean, with all the technology we have today, you'd think.
You'd think someone would have made it.
Right.
But the thing is, the challenges here aren't just physical, they're spiritual.
Oh, interesting. You mean climbers are physically capable, but...
There's this deep-seated belief that attempting to climb Mount Kailash is disrespectful, like a violation of its sacredness.
Like the mountain itself is demanding respect.
Exactly. And many believe it's a test of faith.
A test a lot of people have failed.
Yep. Even legendary figures like Milarepa, the Tibetan saint, chose to meditate on the mountain for years rather than climb it.
Wow, that really speaks volumes. But you mentioned something earlier about unexplained phenomena associated with Mount Kailash. What did you mean by that?
Oh, there are stories, like the Stairway to Heaven, for example. Some people believe Mount Kailash is a bridge between Earth and the heavens. There's this legend about Milarepa using a stairway to ascend to heaven right from the mountain.
Wait, the same Milarepa who meditated there for years?
That's the one. Legend says that after all that meditation, he got challenged by a Bonpo sorcerer to a race to the summit.
Sounds like my kind of race. What happened?
Well, they say that Milarepa just, poof, used his spiritual powers to transport himself to the peak in a beam of light, like instant ascension.
That's incredible. So we've got this idea of Mount Kailash as a bridge between worlds, and then there's these stories about time distortion around the mountain too, right?
Yeah, people claim time moves faster around Mount Kailash, like they age quicker.
Whoa. Is there any science to back that up?
Not really. It's mostly anecdotal accounts. But still, it adds another layer of mystery to an already mysterious place.
Okay, so let's pause for a second. We've got sacred sites, a cosmic connection, an unclimbed peak, and time-bending experiences. It's a lot to take in, but I feel like there's still more, right?
Oh, tons more. The mountain itself, the lakes surrounding it, the very air around it, it all whispers secrets.
Well, then let's dive into those secrets. What else have you got?
Let's start with those two lakes near Mount Kailash. They're not just pretty scenery, they're deeply symbolic.
You mean Manasarovar Lake and Rakshisa Lake?
Right, Manasarovar, the one that represents the sun, is believed to be the birthplace of Lord Brahma in Hinduism. And then there's Rakshisa representing the moon, the residence of Lord Shiva.
So one lake symbolizes creation, the other destruction. That duality fits a mountain that represents the axis of the world.
Right, like it captures the balance of the universe. But here's another layer to the mystery. Some believe that Mount Kailash itself is actually pyramid-shaped.
Hold on. Pyramid-shaped. Are we talking ancient civilizations here?
Some people definitely think so. Maybe a man-made structure, maybe even something more extraterrestrial.
Whoa, now that's a theory.
I know, it's crazy. Whether it's natural or not, the fact that people even think those things says a lot about this mountain.
Yeah, it's a powerful place. And we're just getting started. It's amazing how a mountain can spark so much mystery, so much intrigue. We've covered religions, myths, legends, even the possibility of ancient civilizations or something even more out there.
It really is. I mean, Mount Kailash definitely captures our imaginations. It's one of those places that makes you wonder, makes you want to understand what's really out there.
It makes you realize how much we still don't know, which is kind of exciting. But I want to go back to something you said about Mount Kailash and, well, people's reactions to it.
What do you mean?
Well, we talked about how it's sacred to all these different religions, each with their own beliefs and practices. But there's got to be something universal about the human experience there too, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. Even if you don't follow any particular religion, there's something about places like Mount Kailash, something that pulls you in.
It's like you're standing at the edge of the unknown, touching something ancient and powerful.
Right. And that feeling can be really powerful, really inspiring. It can make you question everything, see the world differently.
So if you had the chance to visit Mount Kailash, would you try to climb it?
That's a tough one. Part of me wants to, the explorer in me. But there's that respect thing again, that feeling that it's sacred, that climbing it would be wrong.
So the real journey isn't about conquering the mountain, but connecting with its energy.
Yeah, exactly. It's about experiencing the mystery, the power. That journey is more like a pilgrimage, a journey of the soul.
It's interesting how, in this day and age, with all our technology, places like Mount Kailash can still hold so much mystery.
And maybe that's how it should be. Some mysteries are meant to be pondered, not solved. Mount Kailash reminds us that there's still so much out there we don't understand, and that's okay.
It's like those ancient myths and stories. They might not be literally true, but they point to something deeper about this place.
They show how powerful human imagination is. We try to make sense of the world through stories, through symbols.
And speaking of stories, what about that theory that Mount Kailash is actually a giant pyramid built by, some ancient civilization?
That's a wild one, right? There's
Yeah.
no real proof, but just the idea that it could be a man-made structure, something from a lost civilization, is pretty cool.
Makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden there, just waiting to be discovered.
Imagine the stories they could tell. But even without concrete answers, Mount Kailash keeps inspiring us.
It shows us we don't always need answers to appreciate the power and mystery of the world.
Exactly. Sometimes just embracing the unknown, being amazed by the mystery, that's enough.
That brings us back to the fact that no one's ever climbed Mount Kailash. Is it really impossible, or is it something else?
Good question. Some people think it's just too treacherous, too unpredictable. Others believe it's more of a spiritual thing, a boundary we're not supposed to cross.
Like the mountains choosing who's worthy.
Maybe. Or maybe the lesson is about respect, about appreciating the journey itself, not just the destination.
Listening to all this, I'm starting to get why Mount Kailash is considered the center of the world. It's not just a location, it's like this focal point of energy, a place where our world meets something bigger.
I like that. It's where Earth meets heaven, where ancient beliefs meet modern mysteries, a place that challenges us and inspires us.
And it makes me think about other places on Earth that hold that same kind of significance, like Stonehenge, the pyramids, even natural wonders like the Grand Canyon.
Every one of those places tells a story about human curiosity, our need to understand our place in the universe, and our fascination with the unknown.
It's like they're calling to us, inviting us to explore, to ask questions, to connect with something bigger.
And in a world that's so focused on technology and information, those invitations are super important.
So, what are some of the key takeaways from our dive into Mount Kailash so far? What can we learn from this mystical mountain?
Well, one thing's for sure. There are still places in the world that hold a deep sense of wonder and mystery. Places that challenge what we think we know and invite us to consider the possibilities.
It's a reminder that there's still magic in the world. And maybe Mount Kailash holds the key to unlocking some of it.
It's wild. We've spent all this time talking about Mount Kailash, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface. There's just so much to it.
It's true. This mountain, With all its mysteries and its towering presence, it just keeps calling to us.
And it makes you think, right, what does it all mean for us? What can we actually take away from this whole deep dive into Mount Kailash?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is, well, perspective. Mount Kailash is this powerful symbol for so many different cultures and religions, and they all see it in their own unique way.
So, like, it's not about finding the right answer, but about understanding that there are many different ways of looking at things. Yeah, exactly. Our own perspectives are just like pieces of a much bigger picture. In Mount Kailash, it's so complex, it forces us to expand our thinking, to consider other viewpoints.
That's such a powerful idea, especially these days. Maybe we could all use a little bit of that Mount Kailash perspective, being open to seeing things differently.
Totally. And you know what else Mount Kailash teaches us? Humility.
Humility. How so?
Think about it. For centuries, people have tried to conquer this mountain, to get to the top, to plant their flag, and no one has ever succeeded.
It's like the mountain is saying, nope, not today.
Right. It's a reminder that we're not always in control, that there are forces bigger than us, and that sometimes, well, we need to surrender.
Surrender to
the mystery, to the unknown, to the fact that we don't have all the answers, and that maybe that's okay.
So what would you say to someone listening right now who's, I don't know, feeling inspired? Someone who wants to learn more about Mount Kailash, maybe even visit someday.
I'd say go for it, but go with an open mind. Be curious, be respectful. Learn about the cultures and the beliefs that make this mountain so sacred. Explore the stories and the myths. Let yourself be amazed by the mystery of it all.
Yeah, and remember, the journey is just as important as the destination.
Absolutely. In the end, Mount Kailash is like a mirror. It reflects our own curiosity, our search for meaning. It reminds us that there's something bigger than ourselves out there. And those lessons, they stay with us even after we leave the mountain.
It's true. And even though our deep dive into Mount Kailash is ending, I think we're left with more questions than answers. But that's okay.
It is. Questions keep us curious. They keep us exploring. And who knows what we'll discover along the way.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Mount Kailash. Keep seeking, keep questioning, and until next time, keep diving deep.